after that season, just grinded every morning at 5 a.m. before school. We'd have workouts during school, have practice, and I'd go work out again. Just like Kobe says, just putting in more time and more hours just to catch up and separate from people, and that's what I was able to do. So come junior year, I was able to start every game that season, and I ended up getting my first offer before I even had any varsity film or anything, just because I was grinding and did well at a camp.
Welcome back to D1on1. My name is Andrew Cooper, and I'm a master's student at Cal and a member of the track and cross country team. Our team's mission with D1on1 is to empower college athletes to own their voice by sharing their stories. This conversation is with Cam Bynum, a cornerback and team captain at Cal. He's currently going into his 5th year with hopes of making his NFL dreams come true. Cam's framework for success is built on hard work and clarity of vision, which he models after his role model, Kobe Bryant. So much so that he's worn the same number as Kobe since he was in 5th grade. In this conversation, Cam shares the impact that Kobe had on him, how he hopes to use his platform with sport to inspire others to achieve their dreams, and his perspective on leadership as a team captain. With that being said, here is Cam Bynum's D1on1. Bynum, thank you so much for joining me on D1on1. As I've told you, platform we're building to try to help unify the voice of college athletes and give us a platform to share our stories. I know you play defensive back here at the University of California, Berkeley as a Golden Bear, and you're going into your 5th year as part of the Takers. I hear you guys call yourselves.
Yep.
I think I'm a fan of that just because I'm from Seattle, so like Legion of Boom and DBs being
the face
awesome
of the team,
is amazing.
Right.
But could you introduce us to who you are by telling us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Who I am, I'm a God first type of guy, so I'm really faith driven. Always trying to spread the word and just be a good example and be a help to others in whatever way I can. And personally, I pride myself in being the hardest worker in sports. So I model my game after people that came before me, like Kobe and just all the hard workers we know of. Kobe being specific, I just try to model all my hard work, putting in the extra time, the extra hours, just to try and be better than the next person.
Mm-hmm. Before we get into Kobe, which I'm really excited to talk to you about, I'm so interested in like some technical things about being a DB.
Right.
What do you think is your favorite element or aspect of being a DB?
I think it's the detail and how much, even if you win, you no way you had a perfect rep. So I've won a lot of reps in college, but I've also lost a lot. And I learn more from the reps that I win than I lose, because it's a certain thing in my mind where I can always get better and I can always perfect something and do better with my detail. So in terms of playing DB, if I win the rep, I maybe could have done something better with my footwork at the line of scrimmage, or finished better instead of getting the pass breakup, get the interception next time, just off of one false step I might have, or one bad step at the line, or where my eyes are at. So small stuff like that I always try and perfect, and that's what I love about just football, period. There's so many nuances and just small details that if you perfect it, you can be really good.
And I know that discipline's super important to you guys.
Right.
What interception are you most proud of in your career?
Let's see. Probably my one last 2 seasons ago against Washington at home. So it was 2018 season.
Yeah.
When quarterback tried to throw it away out of bounds, but I ran up and judged the ball and had a toe tap. Dragged my foot, got one foot in.
Wow.
And that was a big game because they were ranked super high. And that was the first year we beat Oregon. Yes, or not Oregon.
I hate UW.
That was the first year we beat UW. I know you went to Washington State, so you're probably excited about that loss for them. But, that was probably probably my most exciting interception, because the heat of the game. Or maybe my redshirt freshman year, I had 2 interceptions against Washington State, and they were ranked, I want to say number 8 at the time. And Against y'all, yeah.
I mean, I don't care.
We
like,
blew you guys out, and they're ranked super high. But that was my freshman year, and I had 2 interceptions that game. So
2 interceptions that game.
Yep.
Huge game, freshman year, first year playing.
Yeah.
Really.
Yep.
How does it make you feel talking about these things right now?
Just all my hard work paid off. All my 5 a.m. workouts. Before I was even a starter in high school, when I was just fifth string on JV, not even playing. Then I finally found a coach that I felt wanted to build me and wanted to actually put time into me as much as I wanted to be great. He wanted me to be great also. So he was putting time in, waking up at 4 o'clock, and we would work out every morning at 5 a.m. the whole summer, whole off season, and went from after my sophomore season of high school being like 5th string on JV. There's games on JV as a sophomore where I didn't even get in. We would have a 5th quarter for the reserve kids, and I still wouldn't get in because we had so many people in front of me.
Sophomore year of high school.
Then my after that season, just grinded every morning at 5 a.m. before school. We'd have workouts during school, have practice, and I'd go work out again. Just like Kobe says, just putting in more time and more hours just to catch up and separate from people, and that's what I was able to do. So come junior year, I was able to start every game that season, and I ended up getting my first offer before I even had any varsity film or anything, just because I was grinding and did well at a camp. So I didn't even post it because I was kind of embarrassed, because I was like, people would question like, how you get an offer, you haven't even played varsity yet, and I was like, I've been putting work in, but I was embarrassed at the time to even post it because of that. Like, I had no equity. I didn't play on varsity at all, and I had an offer before kids that were playing already.
In high school too, people are really uncomfortable with that kind of work ethic.
Right.
Like, you're so out of the norm that. But in D1, it's like, oh yeah, I did that too. It's like,
yeah,
it's
that's
like
true.
very funny how uncomfortable that makes other people. Why did you do that? Like, what made you want? Like, why weren't you just content with being on JV or, moving up the ladder slowly? Like, why did you commit yourself to waking up at 4 a.m. every day to drive half an hour to get to a trainer, to work out and do a full practice session before practice?
Right. I think overall, big picture, my vision was clear, so I knew what I wanted. And I grew up when I was playing youth football. I was really good. I was getting like 6-7 interceptions a year in youth football. But then got to high school my freshman year. I played but didn't make as many plays. And then I transferred from my private school, came back to Centennial, a big. We were like ranked like number 1 in the country, really good players. And when I got there, I just lost in the mix. A lot of people were better than me at the time. I was ineligible for transferring, so I had to sit out games. So it was kind of like I was like, okay, yeah, there's no point in me playing right now. So after that sophomore year, I was like, okay, this is my time. I can play the games now. I need to focus back up, because I've always put in a crazy amount of work. Even I was still working hard, but I was like kind of content with just chilling because of the fact that I couldn't play in a game. So that was probably like my weakest year, my sophomore year. But I always had that hard work in me, and I always put in time. But now it was time to step it up even more and double the extra work that I was already doing.
So you go to a new school where they're actually really good.
Right.
And all of a sudden you get punched in the face a little. You're
Yep.
like, maybe I'm not all that.
Yep, exactly. So that was probably my biggest wake-up call. And then one of my coaches talked to my mom, was like, hey, Cam has the potential, but he's ineligible. So I'm going to talk to him, and I'm going to tell him, like, yeah, you have a big upside to you. You just got to put that work in. And I was like, yep, I'll do that for sure. And like I said, it's not like I was being lazy, but I just knew I could take it an extra step. So that's exactly what I did. Found my coach, found the 7-on-7 team that really helped me, and I was able to do a lot of competition. And the coach for that team, Coach Brown, he put in just as much work as me trying to build me as I did trying to build myself.
I'm really interested in your perspective on talent versus hard work. You have an opinion on that? A lot of people, I think, believe too much in talent.
Yeah.
Like, they think, I almost think it's a justification for laziness, if I'm telling my opinion before anything else. Is like, people are like, oh, he's talented, then I don't got to show up. When in reality, it's like, nah, dude, like, You had the same exact tools I had.
Exactly. And when I put it in the perspective of being a DB, everything I do and just playing DB, period, that's a perishable skill. Coach Brown, the guy that trained me, he called it a perishable skill. If you don't constantly work on it every week, you're going to lose it. So your talent can take you so far. Talent can get you here. But when you get to every level up, people have talent plus hard work plus technique. So the second your talent runs out, what do you have left? So think of it like a DB has no technique, but he's super fast. And he's been surviving all these years. But the second he gets injured and comes back and he's not as fast, then he has nothing to rely on anymore because his speed isn't there. He gets older and stuff like that. And it's like your technique, your artwork, and just perfecting your craft overall is probably the biggest thing that'll keep you alive for the longest. And I see that with playing DB, with just everything, because talent is cool and all, but once you meet somebody with talent plus a work ethic, then it's like, okay, you're a step ahead of me, and mentally and physically.
Talent ain't shit, man.
Not at all. Not at all.
I really believe that. I don't think it takes you anywhere. But you just mentioned that your technique is your artwork. Yep. You think of it like art?
I do 100%. It's like
Have you always thought of it like that?
Always, because I've never been like the super talented, fast guy, the guy that can jump out the gym. I've always been the guy that had to work or else I wouldn't be good. So, and me putting all those hours in young and just seeing myself get better and starting to understand it and catching up to people and passing people up through the hard work. And that really made me realize that it's an art to it, because not everybody can do it, but everybody can do it if you put the work in. So it being an art is something that you can build, and you can always perfect art. And it's a personal thing to where everybody has their different type of art, whether your talent is interviewing or me playing football, everything like that. It's if you keep working towards your one thing, you keep trying to perfect it and getting better and better, the sky's the limit. You can go as far as you want to take it, as long as you keep putting that work in and don't let anybody work harder than you. And personally, I believe that you should believe that you're the hardest worker. And if somebody asks you who's the hardest worker on the team and you don't say yourself, then you're not doing things right.
Where do you feel like you're at in your journey right now?
I think I'm almost to where I want to be, but I'm so far from it. So I'm at the level that I've always dreamed of, starting every game I've played so far and starting every game I've been in since I've been eligible in college, not redshirting. But there's so much more I can learn. There's so much more length I can go with this football stuff. So I've reached a goal, but I haven't reached all my goals. So I'm still working to get to the next level. And once I get to the next level, I want to get to the next level of being great and be mentioned with the greatest and eventually be the greatest, because I'll say that now, and I'm not going to settle until I'm great. And whether I reach there or not, I'm going to shoot for it, period. So with whatever time I have and however long my body can play football, I'm going to try and be the best.
Who are the greatest for you?
Deion Sanders, Revis, all the big name people, and even in other sports too. Like Kobe's my biggest inspiration in sports, period, or person, like big authority figure. He doesn't even play football, but just the way he went about the game and his craft and how attentive he was to his family, I thought he was like the perfect person to model after on the field, for me on the field and him on the court, because he was always putting in that extra time. Always talked about waking up a couple hours earlier so he can get an extra workout in throughout the day. And that's something I learned that he did at a young age. So I've been doing that since high school and before, with the help of my parents also pushing me and reminding me that if I want to be good, I got to work. So that's always been a big inspiration and an impact in my life.
What's your earliest memory of Kobe?
Let's see. At my aunt's house when I was young, she has a giant poster of him in her garage, and I used to always just like look at the thing, and then we had a little toy, like a plastic little slam. We used to dunk on it in her living room, a little basket, and she used to always have the Lakers game on, and and I was recording it on the tapes, and my family would always be recording it on the VHS tapes. I barely understood what they were doing then, but we were always watching Laker games for some reason. And I remember Kobe was just super good, and I remember that's number 8. When I see him on TV and think, oh, that's on the poster. And so just my family always being Laker fans, I always grew up saying Kobe or trying to dunk in the living room, just clowning around with all my little cousins and my older siblings. So it's always been fun, and that he kind of made me love basketball back when I used to play too.
What's amazing to me about Kobe is that, for me as a Russian immigrant, or the son of a Russian immigrant, I still knew who he was because everyone would say Kobe throwing trash, and I never even watched him play. I never even watched him play.
Say it naturally, huh?
I'm like, oh, Kobe, that's just what that is. I never even watched him play basketball. You're from LA, right?
Yep, or LA area.
LA area?
California.
Okay.
Ish, yeah.
So when did Kobe pivot in your mind from being that dude on the poster who was just there when I was having fun dunking to your role model and icon?
I'd say around, so I think Kobe switched his number in like 2006 and 7. The year after that, or the same year, I forget the exact year, but I know my football number switched from 61 to 24. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, because Kobe just switched numbers, and I just got number 24. I didn't pick it. They just gave it to me.
Oh, my gosh.
My first year of football, I was kind of weak, but I had 61, and then when I switched to number 24, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, and it's like perfectly matches up. So that's when I really started to be even more of a fan of Kobe, and kind of like be a little fan, and like I'm Kobe because I'm wearing 24. So I've wore 24 every season since, and I'm trying to keep 24 the rest of my career. So I pray that could happen in the NFL, but I'll pay some money to be able to wear number 24 at the next level. So
that's so amazing. What do you think it meant to you to wear the same number as him and to be able to look in the mirror with that number and be like, I'm trying to be Kobe?
I think it was always a reminder to me that if I'm wearing this number, I need to be the hardest worker and be a leader, and at the end of the day, just be the hardest worker, just like Kobe was known for. And I think that's a reminder to me that if I want to carry that, everybody talks about having the Mamba mentality and carrying the legacy on, but you have to do that with hard work and putting in more time and more work, just like Kobe taught about. So that's my biggest reminder and thing that I need to do with the rest of my career if I want to honor him and his life and his impact that he had on me. If I'm wearing 24, I have to carry that 24 lifestyle, the Mamba mentality, with the work and with the just killer instinct that he played with and had and went about with his craft. I got to do the same with mine.
You can't let yourself slip.
Not at all, because that's a representation. You see my social media, it's all type of Kobe stuff, snake emojis I've been putting for years and posting about Kobe for years, and now I have to hold it up still, and I've been doing a good job with that, but there's always a step you could take next.
Wow. So when Kobe retired and he pivots to his role as dad, entrepreneur, writer, storyteller, all of the above, how did he fit into your framework? Like, what was that like watching him shift his Mamba mentality from the craft of basketball to the craft of life?
That just goes to show how the mentality is it's universal for anything you do and for everybody, in terms of like you can try and be the best at whatever you do in whatever you do. So like I said earlier, you're doing interviews and you're trying to tell people stories. If you want to be the best at it, you can do that. And if I'm playing football, and when I'm done with football, whatever I get into next, I have to want to be the best at it, because that's just instilled in me. And I think that was instilled of him, just always wanted to be better and be the best person he could possibly be. And he took that to the entertainment world and telling stories himself, and ended up getting an Oscars and getting all the crazy accolades. He wasn't even going for that. He was just trying to tell stories and try and inspire people. So I loved seeing that.
What was it like when you found out?
I was sad. My teammate called me. I was sleeping still. It was like 11 o'clock. I was sleeping in. And then he called me. He was like, you see what happened to Kobe? No, what happened? I was like, I thought he said something about LeBron, because the night before, LeBron passed him up in points. So I was like, oh, it's something. Because we were just talking about him the night before. They see what happened to Kobe. I was like, oh, no, what'd he do? What'd he say? They're like, talking about he just got in a helicopter crash. I was like, no way. So I didn't believe it. And it went hours on where there's no reports coming out, but it was all over Twitter. And no verified accounts were talking about it. No news people were talking about it. Then it came out talking about his whole family was in the helicopter. Then it started talking about just him and Rick Fox and all type of people. It was all over the place. So my head was just spinning. I was like, no way this happened. And when it did, I was just super sad. And it impacted me because I was thinking I'm a year away from potentially meeting him. I had a master plan to try and get some mentorship by Kobe or try and become friends with him. Or I was picturing me being on draft day on the podium after I get drafted in the first round. I'm talking up there with Deion Sanders. Shout out Kobe. Hey Kobe, if you seeing this, if you watching this, I'd love to get some mentorship from you or get on the phone. That was my little master plan to try and talk to him and meet him and become cool with him and try and just pick his brain like he did with Michael Jordan, trying to be his younger brother. That was my goal, and Kobe's all about that, trying to mentor the younger guys. So I was like, this is my chance. I got one more year to I have a bigger stage, and it didn't happen, but that's just how life is, and God knows He's doing with it.
How have the last few weeks been? Like, what have you learned about yourself through this experience?
Through the experience, I just learned that I can, if I want to model myself after somebody, and if they're gone now I need to be the example. And kind of had a confidence of now I need to work extra hard, because if I want to do what Kobe did, now I have to work just as hard as he did. So I've been really trying to be a good impact to other people, and just trying to help people in whatever way I can, whether it's on or off the field. Just always being a positive person in somebody's life.
To hear you say, oh, now I have to take the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even think I can feel or understand how powerful that is.
Right.
What's thinking in my mind is, like, are you afraid? Is there fear of, like, trying to fill those shoes because they're so big? And yours are so small right now in comparison, even though, I mean, these are such, like, enormous shoes for both of you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any fear right now?
Not at all.
Like, what's your relationship with fear like? Because I think this is something I struggle with, is I think too far in advance. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll fuck this up, or, something will happen. But then people like Kobe, people like you, it's like you seem to have conquered that fear.
Right. I think my biggest thing is my faith. So I rely on God, and I have a confidence that if something goes wrong, no matter what, I'll be good. And if I'm putting the work in and doing everything right, there's really no way you can lose, because at the end of the day, you learn something, you may help one person. If you've only helped one person, you've still reached somebody, helped change their life. So as far as being afraid to try and take that next step and trying to inspire people, or just be afraid of anything in life, if you have a foundation and a confidence, for me, my confidence in God, that I'm always secure no matter what happens with me. And if I have that confidence, then nothing in this world can get me down or bring me to a point where I'll give up on myself or lose hope, because at the end of the day, I'll be fine no matter what, whether I reach my goal or if I fail. At the end of the day, I'm learning something, and I'm going to be a better person after the hurt and the pain of losing. But if I also win, there's still way more I can do, and there's still way more success to be had, way more lessons to be learned, or and just more length you can go with it. And you got to finish what you start. And if there's bumps on the road, you can still get to the finish line. Just forget how long it takes, forget with everything else, but just stay on that constant quest of trying to be who you are and who you want to be. And whatever happens is gonna happen, and some things are out of your control. So as far as being afraid or anything, I don't think there's a reason to be afraid, because at the end of the day, you'll learn something from it.
Your framework is so clear.
Yeah.
Foundation's hard work, support from God and family, and then the vision, like the relentless pursuit for that.
Right.
Because what I also see people doing is set their vision way too low,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't have a vision.
Yeah,
but I
that's
think
a big
when you
issue.
don't have a vision, then you set it too low.
Exactly.
And that's what I think is the biggest tragedy, is when people have dreams but they're not trying.
Right.
And so for me, I always bet on hard work.
Mm-hmm.
On other people, when I'm like, you know, when I see someone grinding, they only got like 100 followers, but they're doing all this stuff. You know, I got a crazy story about a friend of mine, Zach Schomler, who we met like 2 years ago because I had this podcast and he had his own podcast.
Right.
And his was Strong Opinion Sports, where he just talks about sports. He's like a Colin Cowherd kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to his YouTube channel. He's got like 80 subscribers. I'm like, man, this dude's really on some rinky-dink stuff right now, but he's grinding. Like, he's putting out a lot of content.
He's trying to.
And like a year later, he's got 1,000 subscribers. And I'm like, man, that's it paying off brick by brick, you know. And we were supporting each other. And then I was like, I'll buy you a drink when we hit 100K. And man hit 100K like a couple months ago.
For real?
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Doing the same exact thing.
Doing the same thing, just staying down, staying what they say, 10 toes down, just always keeping your foundation and doing and just the work will pay off in some way. And for him, he got his subscribers up. But if he didn't get subscribers, he would have learned that he needs to keep working out. So I just think he did it right by staying consistent and not losing what he wanted to do. So some people, if their vision's not clear, they either settle too early thinking they've arrived, even though at the end of the day that may not be where they actually want to be. So if you set your vision and he's aiming for 100 million subscribers, and he's going to be happy at every little milestone he takes and keep grinding towards it but not get complacent.
And I also hear you say, as long as you're learning, there's no failure.
Right.
Do you think of yourself as a student in just everything? Like, is learning the driving force of everything you're doing?
I think so. Just I'm a student of the game. I don't get too frustrated at myself. Like on the field, if say I have a bad play, I don't get too frustrated at myself. I get frustrated that I didn't do it right, and I know exactly how to do it right, and I put the time in to do it right. But there's going to be times where you lose, but that's even more field to learn. I think you learn more from losing than you do from winning. And I'm excited about losses. In the craziest way it sounds, I hate losing and I love winning, but just the way you can learn from stuff from losing or failure, I just think there's so much you can do, whether you're learning mentally, how to be mentally tougher, or learning more about your technique. If you have a bad rep against a receiver, I need to know how to fix every single little step I took, my eyes. So every little detail of it, I'm learning better. And I think when you lose, you look at yourself in a different light than you would if you're winning. I think if you're winning too much, not too much because you can never win too much, but if you're winning all the time and just thinking, oh, it's all sweet, it's all good, then I'm chilling. That's a bad mentality to have, and that's kind of natural when you're winning like that. But if the second you lose and you really look deep in yourself so you can stop losing, I think that's when you'll learn more than anything.
Man. Do you have a personal life philosophy?
I have a lot, but
if it boiled down to like one sentence or phrase that got to the essence of everything, like, have you ever thought about that concept?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I'm really.
It's kind of a heavy question. It's a heavy question.
Yeah,
I'm gonna lie.
I'm really faith driven, but so one of my favorite verses is doing everything to the glory of God. So in terms of that, I work hard to glorify God, and I work hard, and if I don't work hard, it's kind of a slap in God's face, as in he's blessed me with all this talent and all these resources and people having my back and training me for years, and my parents working, my mom working multiple jobs, my dad working weeks straight, no days off, 16-hour shifts just to pay for my training or pay for anything for me to do with football, and the rest, they have 5 kids, so all of us having to pay for other colleges and stuff like that. And if I don't put this time in, and if I don't work harder than anybody out there, then I'm doing them a disfavor, I'm doing God a disfavor, and at the end of the day, I'm doing myself a disfavor. So I think that's basically my whole philosophy with my life, doing it for God, and do that. It boils down to me being of service and giving back and thanking everybody for everything they've done to me. So I think it's a big domino effect when you start it up top like that.
Man, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
What I'd love to talk about leadership a little.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think of yourself as a leader? Like, I know you're a
100%.
captain, 100%.
100%. Not in the way people would think. Being a captain of the team, people kind of suspect them to be like a yeller and a screamer type of leader. I'm a lead by example type of guy. I'll check somebody if I need to, but that doesn't happen often. I'm more of a lead by example, head down, hardest working, and people kind of follow that lead more than they would if I was to yell at them, because I think my presence is more known with hard work than me yelling at somebody. So I'm not a yeller. I don't ever yell at somebody. If I'd rather coach you up and tell you what to do and fix you versus yell at you and scream at you. Because another thing Kobe said, bosses push, leaders pull. So the boss is gonna push you and get mad at you, yell at you, but a leader's gonna pull you in and really coach you. So that's one thing I pride myself in. Somebody's messing up in a workout, I'm not yelling at them, telling them to get out if you don't care. I'm gonna tell them to come in my line, watch what I do, and I'm gonna try and tell them what to do so you can fix it, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. So if somebody's not getting it, I'm gonna put my time in to lead them in the right direction and pull them versus push them out and just do it without them, because at the end of the day, it's still our teammate.
Hearing your story is so inspiring to me, man. Like,
thank you.
Not often do I talk to someone where I learn something new about myself that I need to apply to my life.
Right.
And right now, that's vision and the importance of that. And I've always had that, and I've always believed in myself, but I've done myself a disservice by not more clearly articulating that moving forward.
Yeah, 'cause it has to be a detailed vision that you have tangible goals you can reach along the way to get to your out of reach big vision goal. So that's kind of what you want to set, and that's what I've learned over time. And the help of guy helps out with our team named Kevin. He really stresses you never know your why if you don't have a clear vision. You have to have the clear why and clear vision, and then you can know what you want and just in life, period.
Yeah. Man, Cam, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
I
for
really
having
wish
me.
you the best in life, and I cannot wait to see everything you do, not only in football, but in every element of your life. Like, I'm almost going to be more interested in what you do off the field.
Thank you.
Because I know the field stuff's going to happen. It's going to take care of itself.
Right.
But it's the reason why I love LeBron is because he didn't take that platform for granted, and he did something with it.
Exactly.
And those are the athletes that I look up to the most.
Exactly.
So, thank you, man.
I agree. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.